together we're doing the peer academic advisors and with the engineering ambassadors, and we're going to tell you all about our different majors and answer any questions you guys have. So for our agenda today, we have an introduction. We're going to go through some major descriptions, the change of major process. We'll do a little Q&A, some little tips and tricks on how to pick what major you want to get into, and then we'll break out in groups if you guys have like further questions for all of us. Yeah. And then for introductions, there's only 3 of us here today for the peer academic advisors, but I'm Ashley. I'm a 4th year civil engineering major.
I'm Amanda, 3rd year civil engineering major.
I'm David. I'm a 3rd year electrical engineering major.
Awesome. And then all the ambassadors will introduce themselves in their slides. So we'll kick it off with mechanical. If you want to use the mic, you can.
Yeah,
or you can just chill. It's up to you.
Well, I'll just. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me. Hi, my name is Marcus. I'm a 3rd year mechanical engineer. Thank you guys for showing up. Real briefly, I'll just go over a brief description of what mechanical engineering is. To me, it's really about the design, analysis, and manufacturing of mechanical systems. But what does that really mean? Because it's in the name, mechanical engineering. So for me, it comes with a variety of different systems, but I like to use an acronym called GEARS. So G would often stand for systems dealing with gears, and also gears is associated with power transmission. Would be energy transfer, because one of the common core classes that mechanical engineers have to take is thermodynamics, which is just the relationship of heat in a variety of different systems. And then I would often associate A with avionics. One of the coolest things about mechanical engineering is that it's just, not only is it so versatile, but it's not just limited to just one single industry. Oftentimes you'll see mechanical engineers be able to take biomedical career or jobs as well, due to the integration with robotics and such as like linkages and gears being incorporated with electrical components. As far as R goes, I would associate it with resilience. One of the common courses for mechanical engineers is mechanics of structure specifically, mainly dealing with components that deal or carry a lot of stress or loads, and understanding how to best utilize and distribute either various disruptions such as vibrations, and with the key emphasis on the stability of the structure itself. And I'll just briefly go over it because I want to make sure everyone has the time to speak as well. Specifically, why did I choose my major? As a kid, I was very much interested in artwork and as well as animation. I always preferred doing traditional drawings over the digital work that was rising up, mainly due to the fact that because I was so limited by the tools and parameters that I had, that often inspired me to be more creative with the assets that I had within my room. I always grew very obsessed with the idea of creating something out of nothing and being able to actually express that, because I think that journey is really inspiring for a lot of people who often do want to pursue education or pursue their passion in whatever form that takes. So I felt that engineering, specifically mechanical, just provided me with the most opportunity to be the most creative and really apply my greatest assets, which is versatility as well as innovation in a wide variety of skills and assets. As far as my experience goes, right now I'm currently involved in 2 senior design projects, solar airplane as well as a design build fly. And although those are more associated with aerospace majors, I was actually able to talk my way through the interview, mainly because you do pretty much take a course in fluid dynamics as well as thermodynamics, which are 2 vital skills. And as far as my goals go, this is kind of just broadening with what I plan to do with engineering as well as, but mainly integrating my love with artwork and creativity, as well as with engineering in order to continue inspiring other people, as well as bring my imagination to life through personal projects and personal endeavors as well. With that being said, I'll pass it off to the next ambassador and major.
Awesome. So we have aerospace next. Okay, sweet.
This down a little bit shorter. All right, so I'm Kay. I'm a 4th year aerospace engineering major. In terms of what aerospace is, Marcus briefly described it. I would use the same thing. I would use, say, gears. And then we just focus more on the aircraft side, so things that are flying, whether it's within the atmosphere or beyond, so space flight. Um, I chose this major because it was my childhood dream to create a flying car. And when I was going to pick a major, I was like, okay, mechanical or aerospace? And I was like, well, flying car should probably go with aerospace, so chose that. And then I also think it's a really well-rounded major. Similar to mechanical, you have a lot of different paths that you can choose to go down. Um, yeah, I think being well-rounded is important. I like learning a bit of everything, and I've definitely done a lot of that within my major here at UCI. Project wise and experience wise, while Marcus has a lot of the aerospace experience, I have a lot of the mechanical experience. I'm on the solar car team. I was on the chassis and aero body sub teams, and you also learn a lot through your classwork. On the bottom, you can see the 106 project where you build a little tire robot and it takes so much out of you. But it's definitely one of my favorite classes that I've taken so far. Club wise, Ms. B, SWE, engineering ambassadors, and then the basketball club. Goals short term, I want to try out as much as I can. There's so many paths. I don't want to pick one right now because I don't know what I want to do specifically. So, try out everything within the next 5 to 10 years, see what I like, get my master's with a specialization, come back and see what I do. Hopefully, work on jets. That's my goal right now, but we'll see where we end up. And I will pass it
Amanda,
to the
third year undergrad student. And I basically chose civil. Honestly, when I was filling out the application, I didn't know what major to pick. And my uncle is a civil, so he just said, do civil engineering. I said, what is that? And he was like, just do it. And I actually do really, really like it. It's a versatile degree. There's different specializations. You could go transportation, water resources, or structural, which is what my goal is. I travel a lot being on the women's tennis team, and when I travel, I see all the buildings, and that's what makes the communities, and I think they're really pretty. So that's essentially why I picked it. My experience, I recently finished an internship 6, 7 months with MKN, and they're a water resource consulting firm. So we designed pipelines and did the structural, contacted with bidders, all the fun stuff. My goals, I do want to try to take the FE exam since all of the classes that I'm taking this year are going to be done and I want to pass it. You only need a 75%, so not too bad. But yeah, and that's a project that I worked on my freshman year. And in junior year, now we're actually starting to see applications of it with all the labs, which I'm sure every single engineering major has to do labs. So it's
Hi,
fun.
I'm Michelle. I'm a third year environmental engineering major. It's in the same department as civil, so it's pretty similar. I think the only differentiation is I'd like to say it's like a water specialization in civil engineering because you basically just take the water classes of CEE. And there's some more chemistry, but you don't have to take any transportation or structural classes, which I know I'm not interested in, so it works out for me. Industry jobs that you can get with this major post grad are primarily water systems, since that's mostly what the courses at UCI are catered towards. But you can also do things in ground remediation and air pollution, but that's more, those classes are more in the earth system science major if you're interested in those topics. Why I chose this major is because I know I love the environment and I wanted to do engineering, so I just merged the two together and chose environmental engineering. Some experience I have is a small scale water filtration system where we filter out contaminants and um, we compete every year at the Civil Engineering Convention Symposium. And I'm also part of a research lab where we filter out microplastics from wastewater. And this is just starting up, but there's an Engineers Without Borders Ecuador water system that's being implemented. And last summer, I did a land development internship, which is different from environmental, but it's applicable. I'm just testing out everything that I want to try. And affiliations, I'm part of ACE, the Green Initiative Fund, and EAN. I'm also part of a internship program at UCI with the Center for Environmental Biology. It's field research,
I actually just went this morning, like oak monitoring in Laguna Canyon. And that's related to my future goals, which is to get a master's or PhD in environmental engineering. And I'm currently debating between industry and academia. And there's some photos. The one at the top is our water filtration system that we compete with annually, and the bottom photo is using oil to extract microplastics from wastewater.
Well, unfortunately, our peer academic advisor, who is a fourth year in chemical engineering, is in the lab right now, but she left her email if you do have any questions about chemical engineering. But she got into chemical engineering because she saw how bioengineering treatments help cure her grandma's lung cancer. So she started doing that and combined like chemistry and other STEM subjects, and it led her to chemi. She's currently in Aki, and she did like chemi-car. She is like involved in SWE, and we went to SWE 24. She's able to get her previous internship at Wolfspeed out in North Carolina last summer. So if you have any questions about that, definitely email her and see what else she can say about chemical engineering.
My name is Lonnie, and I'm a fourth year biomedical engineering major. Just to provide some context on the major, it's so this school specifically has a biomedical engineering major, whereas other schools have like bioengineering. And so obviously with the focuses of our class, it's a lot more on like the biomedical end of things and like biology, but more for application in the medical sense, right? And so it's interesting because there's a lot of overlap when it comes to chemical and biomolecular engineering. Because at the moment, I'm actually in like a CBE and BME joint lab as well. And so there's a lot of cool overlaps there. In terms of, I guess, why I wanted to pursue this major, it was because honestly, like my dad's an electrical engineer and then my mom's a nurse. So it was kind of like a nice little concoction there. Um, yeah, I don't know how much I enjoyed biomedical engineering, I think freshman year, but it kind of grew on me. And then also just like, um, sometimes it's hard to see like the clinical aspect of it and like how that can translate to actual like helping people. But I think overall the concepts are pretty cool if you're into just like biology, chemistry, and there's a lot of options there. You can even go into like industry or academia. But I know that in terms of if you wanted to pursue something related to environmental, it'd be a little bit more difficult. And then in terms of just like, I guess, academia, which is where I'm headed, I'm currently trying to apply for PhD programs. And so some experiences that I've had are in like with the NIH as well as some other programs as well. If anyone has any questions about that, my email is down below as well. My name is Lonnie, and I'm a fourth year. Is basically a pre-med major, and so I believe she's taking. I don't know how much information she wants me to say, but I know she's currently taking a gap year to apply for the next cycle. So I think if you have any questions about that, she's currently going through the process, and she has taken sort of the MCAT. I know this summer she had an NIH virtual opportunity as well. I guess just coming from an NIH like government sort of background, I know that they pay you the same amount. So if anyone's ever interested in that, that's super cool. And then she's also been involved in ASUCI as well, and currently works in a school of medicine lab. I think she dropped her email down there as well.
Yeah, I'm a CSE major. In my first year, I was a computer engineering major, and then I kind of understood the differences between computer science and engineering, computer engineering, and electrical. So these are like you take like similar classes, but the ratio of like hardware to software differs. So after I learned it, it's like kind of CSE is more focused on programming, and I was kind of interested in embedded. I did like math and physics in high school. That's kind of why I wanted to do engineering, and like I like programming, so I wanted to add the computer and the like computer science classes. Yeah, some of our like main classes are like you do a year's worth of programming in your first year, and then you in Python, and then you go into C++ for the next year. So you do a lot of programming, and then there's a class where I learned like 4 different languages in 1 quarter. So there's just a lot of programming, I think, overall. But you also do learn hardware. You take classes to learn embedded. I do a class on semiconductors. It was just one class. So it very much depends what ratio do you want, and like um, how many classes do you want to take, like hardware versus software is my advice for like the three majors. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Philip Alvarez. I'm a fourth year computer engineering major here. As we already kind of said, there's a little bit of a difference between each of the majors, CSE, CE, and EE. CE is probably best way to put it, a little bit more of a specialization of EE with a little bit more coding. EE majors have maybe like one or two coding classes. We're about 50-50 EE CS. So if you want to like think about it, if you want to think about low level systems, how does a computer communicate with itself? And that general idea, that's CPE. If you want to know how to code something bigger, like an app or a website, that's more CS. And if you just want to know how like semiconductor works or like electrical system, that's EE. So that's kind of like the bigger difference, is it? The 50-50 is pretty much right that Rachel showed on her slide. The reason I chose this major was because I wanted to know what came first, the code or the computer. And honestly, I'm still trying to figure that out. So it's a whole different thing. As you can see, code was my biggest thing, and that's why when I chose my major, I put the wrong major. I was supposed to be CS, but I applied to CE, and that worked out better because I actually like hardware more than software. So that's kind of why I like this major. I get to focus on that little low level. I get to understand assembly and machine language. That's some things that EE barely touches, and I don't even think CSE knows about. So it's the difference in that major, and that's why I like it. My general interest in this major is more in hardware accelerators. That's basically a more advanced computer system. Very, very interesting, kind of what a GPU is. So that's why it's cool. Robotics and microcontrollers. I kind of pursue this through ACE. I run the BattleBots Club here at UCI with one of my other members. So if you guys are interested in that, check us out. Just a shameless plug. Yeah, and then my current goals is to get a master in a cushy job because that's the goal for all of us, right? Or just to become the new father computer. I'm cool with either one of them, but whatever comes first.
Hello, everybody. My name is James Dwyer, and I am a fourth-year electrical engineering major, and I'm specializing in communications. And speaking of specializations, one of the cool parts about electrical is, I guess Philly kind of talked about how computer is kind of like a specialization of electrical, which I can kind of agree with. But within electrical, if you're more interested in the hardware side, we do have like different specializations. So I was really interested in like how like different computers like talk to each other on like a lower level, which is why I chose communications. But there's circuit design, semiconductors, digital signal processing, which I'm also communications and digital signal processing are in kind of similar fields, and we also have RF antennas and microwaves. And so, kind of like Philly kind of or both Maitri and Philly both touched on this, but for electrical, it's learning kind of the core components on how everyday electronics function, and you get to, like I said, it is like more. Oh, I am totally switched the words up. I meant to say 10% software, 90% hardware. I apologize for that. But it is like building more up on that hardware. So like building breadboard circuits using and you get to use a bunch of machines like voltmeters and oscilloscopes that like create all the little wave functions, which are really cool. And there's a lot of different like lab experiences, both on the software side, so that like you can put, you get exposed to some like coding stuff like MATLAB, VHDL, which are good little things to just be exposed to that you might get asked at different opportunities, which I really liked. And a reason why I chose this major, so I actually came into UCI as an undeclared engineering major. So I was like in the engineering school, but I didn't have a specific major. And I actually didn't realize this at the time too, but I feel like from what I've learned, electrical engineers are essential in like almost any engineering job. And I feel like you have a little bit more opportunity in industry, which is kind of the biggest thing that I want to go into. Because as much as I love college, I am ready to be done with school and get into industry. But yeah, no. So I'm actually have a co-op internship right now at a biomedical device company. So that was a cool opportunity that I thought when I came into electrical engineering my first year, I never thought I'd work in the biomedical field, but here we are. So I'm very grateful for that. So my experience is I was a part of IEEE at UCI, and they hold this thing called Open Project Space for people that don't have as much hands-on experience. It's basically like a year-long project that they have like 7 different like kind of building up like base level up all the way into the spring quarter. There's an RC car project that's like the capstone project of the year, which is super cool. And I got to meet a lot of great people. I think you can do that as like a computer engineering major as well. I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I think that covers it mostly. Did you have anything else to add, or?
Yeah, depending on the specialization, like he said, there is a lot of you can code a lot more. You can do a lot of more analysis on like different like signals and things like that. Specifically for me, I'm specializing in semiconductors, so it's a lot of physics and chem that I wasn't expecting. But it's kind of fun being able to see like it's pretty wide, broad depth. So if you're interested in anything electrical, there's a lot of different ways that you could like pursue that major, even if you like, let's say you don't really like looking at a signal, or even if you don't really like doing chemistry. There's a lot of different fields within electrical engineering that you can pursue that still is applicable in electronics.
Yeah. And I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but I joke with a bunch of people that electrical engineering is just basically applied math. We have a lot of like upper division, like their EECS, which is like the electrical engineering and computer science department. But I joke that they're EECS classes, but they could almost be applied math courses. But it is honestly really fun, and it's cool to see kind of how like different stuff that you've learned even from like your lower, because obviously as engineers we all take like lower level math and physics courses to see how that kind of applies in like different ways and how different transforms apply to like different real life scenarios. So I think that's really cool.
Material science is the study of the material properties, so literally how it's made up of like cells and all that jazz of all stuff around us. She chose it because she's interested in how chemical and structural properties of materials affect their properties and applications. Looks like she did a Cal Nanos internship, and she's currently in a senior design with JPL, and she's doing research with guys, I can't say that. But that lab. And yeah, if you want to check out some more stuff, she left an Instagram handle for Material Science Club, so definitely check it out. I can try and find her email, and maybe she'll be able to answer some questions too. But we're gonna go into just a couple of like guided questions, and you guys are welcome to answer if you have one. But yeah. So, were there any aspects of your major that you didn't expect? Open conversation.
I think I already kind of talked about like how the applied math kind of went everywhere. I didn't, because honestly I didn't. People were like, "Oh, in electrical you don't get as much lab experience." I actually think that's not true. Even throughout like lower, like first and second year, I've always had at least 2 to 3 labs per year, which means like some of them have been mostly coding stuff, and some of them have been like the hardware stuff, like building the breadboards themselves and using like the oscilloscopes. And it's kind of cool too that like you have like those different labs, and then like as a fourth year, they're kind of almost all combining together, which is super cool to see. And kind of like I said too, it's kind of like many little skills you can also put as like hard skills in your resume, which is really nice.
For aerospace, I would say how similar we are to mechanical. I think there's only like a 4 to 6 class difference. And I was like, I could just did that. But here I am. I love aerospace. I wouldn't change it.
I think the one thing that applies for all majors is that I don't think anyone was expected how much math and physics
That's true.
relied on everything else. No matter where you go or whatever you're doing coding to, for some reason math and physics is still there.
Just because the class, like the course thing doesn't say math and physics, is there.
It's there.
What advice would you give to someone considering your major? It's a hard one.
You're still young. You're literally, I don't know what year you guys are, but it was like the age range of like 18 to 21. You have your whole life to figure stuff out. We have so many like people to talk to on campus. Come talk to any of us. Try it out. I feel like also if you have extra like free time in your coursework, take an extra course, see if you like what another major has to offer. Go for it.
Struggling with the topic doesn't mean you're not good at it. It just means you haven't studied enough.
That's true. That's very true. I guess another thing to say about engineering is like if you want to still do engineering but you don't know which ones, I would kind of go in a more broader sense with like mechanical or civil. You can still get jobs with any engineering if you choose like a broader major and still try out like the more specific ones like electrical or computer science. Yeah, there's a bunch of opportunities in different companies and they're open to teach you. You can definitely try it out after school too. So, yeah.
I want to add also, my first year I was debating a lot what engineering major to do. So I would recommend just, like I said, talk to everyone, and you can also reach out to professors. I talked to a lot of professors and grad students to ask why they chose the discipline they're in, and that helped me a lot. and I also talk to industry people at like affiliates events and stuff to see if their careers were something I was interested in. So that's amazing.
So for some tips and tricks, just trying to figure out what major you want to do. Yeah, just like assess your interests and your strengths. If you love math and physics, you're definitely in the right place for engineering. But yeah, try to look at different like career opportunities and what you're actually going to do out of school and what you want to do projects on, what you want to work on. So check out different companies, roles and positions. Figure out what positions they're hiring at the companies and what you should study here and how to get into those companies. Yeah, speak to others, speak to the different clubs. You can talk to all of us here. But yeah, all the different clubs will have the upper division students, and they can definitely talk about more about their own majors or like if they did change a major already. Also, if you know any like working engineers just in your family or any of your like family like coworkers and stuff, you can definitely ask them about their experiences. You can even like reach out to people on LinkedIn. They're super cool. And just say like, oh, why'd you do that? And how'd you get to where you are? But the main thing is definitely just follow your heart, follow the path that you want to go to. We can give you all the information you need and how we got there, but it is ultimately up to you and what you want to do with your own life. So no worries there if you don't choose engineering, but we have a bunch of cool majors to choose from. But yeah, we're gonna break out into groups. Oh, go ahead.
Easily enough, I would say if you don't like talking to people, you can also ask ChatGPT. No,
That's
like,
real.
I'm being so that's why I figured out what I want to do long term. I was like, what are potential job options within aerospace? Because I was like, it's so broad. I don't know what specifically, and then it'll give you like a list of questions, and you can answer the questions, and be like, maybe you'd like this, or maybe you'd like this. So that's also an option.
As far as to do.
But yeah. And my other tip and trick is like the fact, like I think that in any industry you go to, like if you guys are honestly like, I want to do engineering for anywhere, that's totally fine. But I think anywhere like as much as it can be stressful and anxious to talk to people, I think networking can be somebody's like biggest thing. Like the fact that you guys are already here and like are willing to like listen or like talk to us, like that is you're already starting that. And you can fully like if you know the right people and you're like you what's called like you're willing to reach out to people and like I would say even like a pure interest in just be like, oh, I'm like really passionate about this. Like other people will like other people like talking about themselves. So I think that's like my biggest piece of advice.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll do breakout groups. There's way less of you than us, so I guess the best way to do it is figure out what major you want, and maybe we can just go to them instead. But yeah.